Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank Lloyd, and I would like to thank David and Lillian too. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's an honor for us to share our ideas and dreams with you tonight here, especially in this iconic place. We really thank you, and we will start with a little story.
Yeah. When he was young, my grandfather could not speak in his native language, because it was forbidden in school. This happened a century ago in a little valley of Provence in the south of France. When he became an adult, he wrote and published tales and poems in his native language. But he did not teach this language to my mother. And now, this language has disappeared, both in the valley, both in our family. All we have left is my grandfather's poems and tales as witnesses of this vanished culture.
So at the same time, my Moroccan grandmother decided to not teach her daughter her native language. French government wanted people to just speak French, so she censored herself. Here we are talking about language, but we could talk about transmission of cooking, of dressing, gardening, but also music, painting, craft, live show, and public speaking. Why isn't the richness of diversity a priority for Occidental state and society today?
These questions may seem naive, but with Marie, every day we ask ourselves why. Respecting the diversity of citizens is one of the foundations of our democracy. Because respect and listen to all voices equally give us the capacity to have a real democratic debate.
Fortunately, thanks to United Nations and hundreds of citizens, we have now a tool to promote cultural diversity in our society. It's called cultural rights. What are those rights? Please, Dr. Emmanuel, tell us a bit the story of this right.
Okay, at the end of the World War II, a large civil movement said never again. They decided to promote culture and education as tools to strengthen the democracy. They include the notion of cultural rights under the Article 27 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. For the last 60 years, with the movement of decolonization, of independence, of the civil rights movement here, the UNESCO and other international organizations have tried to promote cultural diversity as a common base in our society. In 2001, the UNESCO published the Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity. Then, a large international group of people worked on a very specific, confidential, but very important text, which is the Declaration of Fribourg of Cultural Rights, that was published in 2007, that offer concrete ways to define and to reach cultural rights.
So in France, this declaration helped to include cultural rights into the law. Now we are trying to enforce this right into the institution and cultural places.
But
digital tools are still not democratic.
With Marie, we ask ourselves, how can we make digital tools more democratic? Floyd have talked about that. We believe that cultural rights will bring answer to this problem. We have identified two ways to solve that. The first one is the limits of the algorithm of social networks. They replicate the norms and standards of the people who create them.
As always, we are speaking about white men well paid. But what is the second point?
As often, when there is a cultural evolution, people tend to say it was better before. Today, despite their massive use, digital contents are still underestimated as a cultural asset. Digital content is not considered at equal dignity.
So the first point is a question of vigilance. Vigilance about the dominant actor. We will take about the limit of the algorithm and the algorithmic domination.
These algorithms are increasingly a gateway to information, learning and sharing. Algorithms become de facto new model of cultural domination. This is becoming well known and documented. But should and can algorithms be adapted to democratic issue? From our point of view, with Mary, the answer should not only be legal.
We think that we have to consider this platform as a place for collective cultural experience. They should be open and inclusive.
The initial purpose of Internet was to connect all points of this peer-to-peer network and allow a collective cultural experience. They went from the television to the Internet. They wanted to transform pyramid system into ecosystem. And for that, they put the intelligence in the edge. It's Laurence Lessig, the creator of the legal license Creative Commons, that said that to define the power of Internet.
So we know how to make a pyramidal system more democratic, but yet we don't know how to implement a democratic governance into an ecosystem. We have to develop the democracy from the edge. This is our project, and the question is how. Dr. Emmanuel Vergès is a huge fan of an institution called Black Mountain College. It's not far from here in North Carolina. And would you tell them what did you discover?
Yeah, in a book of Fred Turner. Fred Turner is an American academic, professor of communication in Stanford University. And he wrote a book called The Democratic Surround. It tells about a large experimentation that took place in the last century between the 30s and the 50s. Perhaps you know Margaret Mead, the anthropologue, Gregory Bateson, but we've also, together with journalists and artists from the Bauhaus movement, German movement, they work in the Committee for the American Moral. They were supported by the US government to do research in order to reach a democratic use of global media, such as the radio and the television. Their goal was to avoid propaganda and mass manipulation in the media and promote self-emancipation through a personal use of media in a global media society. They work on mediatic environments where people can receive content, but also contribute to produce content, and by this way, contribute to a collective cultural experience. Fred Turner called that a democratic surround with media.
So the work they have done is essential, and especially for the work that we need to do today about the use of internet to explore democratic and cultural possibility.
This work inspired the cultural experience. I don't know if you knew this man, Buckminster Fuller, in his geodesic dome. This work inspired also the art experimentation, you have talked about that, Mary, in the Black Mountain College. And Fred Turner considered that this work was a way to conceive the architectures of internet. Cultural rights, as a cultural approach of our relationship, allow us to think of algorithms as the place of a collective cultural experience to support our democratic dynamic with the media. and thus avoid that they are only the algorithm, the place for a commercialization of our attentions or the development of a surveillance capitalism, deeply asymmetrical, unequal, and non-ecological.
There is another point we wanted to share with you. We have talked about the platform. They can support. The medium is the message, as said like Mike Luhan. But now we want to talk about the message itself, which is the content who be host with, on the platform. What does all of this online content do to the democracy, to our society? For us, diversity became the new common. The universal became the intersectionality, and that engaged a big cultural evolution.
Cultural rights are here to help us to create this new inclusive cultural framework. We believe that social networks are not simply self-centered networks that promote narcissism or ego trip. We believe that they also allow concerned people to share their expression and point of view to their community, but also to the others. The web, the internet, allow people to be visible.
How's that? Even in a makeup tutorial, we are already in a form of cultural expression. On internet, we have the right to express ourselves, the right to learn, the right to create, the right to share. Some cultural practice originally come from the edge of the society and then transform as online content. They find a community and grow bigger link by link, edge by edge. Today, the panel of cultural practice that we have access is huge, and by horizontal link, not anymore in a pyramidal organization.
Age by age, the content produced by creators represents their cultural practice and gesture. By linking this content together, by creating community in so many different cultures and contexts, this network of contents is then not only digital. It starts to become real. The content, originally on the edge, overpass the platform and become a new cultural commons for society, commons of diversity.
So from cultural expression, we move to community practice. For us, it's not narcissistic, it's cultural gesture. It's real cultural gesture. And what is really important is that we learn from this gesture. When we scroll, post, and comment, we connect and accumulate new point of view.
Social networks give a powerful aura to our creative gesture.
And this wild digital space, our cultural gesture, empowered us every morning when we scroll on mobile phone.
To conclude, we will borrow some words from the author Octavia Butler in his book Down. This is an extract of the conversation between Lilith. Lilith is the heroine of the book, a human woman, Lilith, and Nikanj, which is a non-binary alien.
But what's the problem?
Lilith asked,
what's the problem? You said we had two incompatible characteristics. What are they?
Nikanj answer, you are intelligent. That's the newer of the two characteristics, and the one you might have to put to work to save yourself. You may be one of the most intelligent species we have ever found, even if your purpose is different from ours.
And what's the second characteristic?
You are hierarchical. This is the oldest and the most deeply rooted characteristic. It's a terrestrial characteristic. When human intelligence served it instead of guiding it, your people did not realize what a dangerous thing they were doing.
So what we want is to make lie Nikaj. We want that on the 21st century we can have a peer-to-peer society. A society who is more inclusive and fair, equal respect for the people and culture, that everyone can express themselves, contribute, create, and share their knowledge with others. We want a society which each person could be involved in the democratic issue.
For that, we need to give a great importance to cultural rights. We believe that digital networks could be the best tool for this. But these tools need to become more open and more democratic. On the US Civil Rights Trail website, we have read this sentence: "What happened here changed the world."
So we are really happy to have the opportunity to share with you those ideas, and we hope it can generate some reflection. We discussed also with Lloyd yesterday about that, and I think, yeah, just would like to thank you very much.
Thank you very much.